Welcome, everybody. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. It is Sunday, of course, the 22nd. Scranton Strangler here. As always, we come at you multiple times a week talking about America's favorite sport, football, absolutely. And today we're going to be talking about the NFL. We've got week 3 coming upon us. Had a Thursday night matchup that was pretty good, but then we're rolling into Sunday for the rest of the matchups, except for Monday, of course. Well, we're going to dive into this, make it short and sweet. Two things before I do start, though. It is September 22nd. It's my sister's birthday, so love you very much, Brittany. I appreciate everything you do for me. Happy birthday. So shout out to you. And then the next thing, I do have an apology that I need to make to my friend Bryce. He's here most of the time with us. I don't know. Hopefully he'll pop in here in a little bit and he'll see this. But his Longhorns did prove me wrong last night. I picked them for an upset, and they just Gundy, just proved once again in the spotlight, just that he's just not set up for a national championship, man. So. But yeah, they did win, so congrats to Texas, and an apology to my friend Bryce. So there's that one. All right, so moving into week 3 on the NFL, we've got the Bengals going to the Bills. Bills are actually going to be favored 6 in this points. I am going to be taking the Bills to win, but I don't know if they'll cover. I think they're a good team. I really like Josh Allen. He's I don't want to say this, he's not like a poor man's Patrick Mahomes, but just the way he moves, he's very elusive. He can run around, and he's very accurate on the run, when he's throwing. So I guess that's what I pick up from Patrick Mahomes. I'm not trying to say he is, comparison to him or anything like that, but I do like Josh Allen. I think it's taken him, now a year now to grow. I think that's definitely helped him a lot. But the key for them to win is just going to be to pressure Dalton. If you can get pressure on Andy Dalton, guy is probably going to be, in my opinion, this should probably be his last season as an NFL starter, at least for the Bengals. Maybe he can move around, and a change of scenery is what he needs. I don't know, but the Red Rocket, I think, is going to be done in Cincinnati after this season. So going to be taking the Bills to win this game. Next, going down to Dallas, which Miami Dolphins come off an absolute horrible whipping, if you would call it, 43-0. But they're coming down to Dallas, or coming over, I guess, to Dallas from the East Coast. Dallas is favored 23 in this 23 in this game. Dallas, I'm taking Dallas. Look, I appreciate Miami fans. I'm sorry for what y'all are going through right now, but hopefully they can get that turned around. They've been horrible for some time, even though they beat the Patriots last year. That was kind of like a saving grace for them that they held on to. But so far this season, they've been even worse, and they just traded one of their best defensive players, and Minka Fitzpatrick, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So here in a couple, they're loaded on first round picks now. Here in the next couple years, so maybe they can hit on those picks. I think we all know who will win that game. Yeah, they've got a first. I don't know if you saw my apology, man. I said it on stream just for you, Bryce. I probably said it a little too early, but your Longhorns did prove me wrong. So Gundy's just not set up to win big games, I guess. I don't know what he's been doing, but so yeah, definitely gonna take the Cowboys to win and to cover those 23 points. Dolphins are just they're just going through a rough patch right now. So maybe, like I said, they can hit on those first round picks that they've accumulated over the past couple of years. So. Moving down to the Broncos are actually going to be traveling to Wisconsin to take on the Cheeseheads. Packs are going to be favored by them, and I'm going to pick them to win and to cover. I think they're very much improved on the defensive side of the ball. And then on the offense, obviously, you have Aaron Rodgers leading the pack. So they've got Devontae Adams, great. Jimmy Graham, great. And then they've got a coach, excuse me, a coach that's kind of offensive, not necessarily offensive minded, but he's letting Aaron Rodgers be that offensive mind. So, and Matt LaFleur. So I like Matt LaFleur. I think he's done a great job so far. So Packers are going to win that game by 7. Falcons are going to be taking on the Colts. Jacoby Brissett, he's done a good job so far. From the mysterious, random retiring of Andrew Luck, he stepped in pretty well. Indy's actually going to be favored in this game, but I'm going to be taking the Falcons to win it. They're favored by 2, but I'm just going to take the Falcons straight out. They've just got too much offensive firepower, and they seem to be clicking, as of last week. And if they can pick up where they left off last week, I think they'll definitely win this game. I like Jacoby Brissett, but I just like Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and Mohamed Sanu a little bit more. So I think Matt Ryan can definitely get it done. Next, traveling down to probably one of the big games. Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, you're welcome, man. It was a good game, though. It really was, and that's getting into the heart of the Big 12 matchups. I like that. So, Oklahoma was off on a bye week. I just felt so lonely, and Pittsburgh's been sucking ass lately. So it's been a rough week for me. But going down to the pretty much one of the biggest games of the week is going to be the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. That's going to be a big game. I'm very excited to see that. A lot of people doubted Lamar Jackson, coming into that, his throwing ability. I possibly, might be one of those guys that questioned it a little bit, but he's proven us wrong absolutely in the last 2 games. You can definitely see he's put up stats that are identical, pretty much to Patrick Mahomes. So much so that me, myself, a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, has even traded in my fantasy draft, my big fantasy draft or fantasy league that I'm in. I've got Lamar Jackson now. I've got Hollywood Brown, which probably isn't a surprise to most people because he's an Oklahoma Sooner, as well as their tight end Mark Andrews, also an Oklahoma Sooner. So I've got all those guys on my fantasy squad this week, and I'm ready for them to boom. I traded them, traded a good chunk. Chiefs are favored 5 in this game. I'm picking the Kansas City to win, and I think they're going to win by 7. I think it's going to be a shootout, and in a shootout type of a game, I'm going to trust Patrick Mahomes in that offense over the surprising offense of the Ravens and stout. Even though the Ravens win the defensive contest here, Chiefs have actually been pretty good in the defensive statistics so far this year. So Chiefs by 5. I'm taking them to win by 7. I'm thinking around 41-34 is my score prediction for that one. So the Raiders Oakland are going to be traveling to Minnesota. They're going to be taking on the Vikings. Minnesota is actually favored by 9. I think that I like the Vikings, what they're doing, even though they lost in a big game again against the Packers last week. Kirk Cousins just can't take that extra step to win those big games. But I'm taking Vikings to win it. I just don't think they'll win by 9. I'm going to have them win by 7. Be that much of a shootout just because of the rain. Man, is it gonna? That's one thing I didn't look at actually was my rain forecast. Is it gonna be raining there? That's true. Then it could be closer to around 23, 20, 23-30, maybe something like that. But a good call on the rain, brother. So I don't remember where I was talking. But yeah, the Vikings, I like what they've, of course, they've got one of the best duos in Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. They've got a couple of duos and tight ends, and Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith Jr. out of Alabama this year. He's done a decent job whenever he's on the field. They kind of split time. Of course, they don't run too many dual tight end sets. But I like the Vikings a lot. I think they'll win I just don't have them covering by 9. So moving on to the Jets at the Patriots. Look, uh, man, that's rough. That's rough for the Jets. I feel bad. Even as a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, I feel bad for Le'Veon. It was his choice. He chose not to be with us, even though he had a perfect situation here. And I felt bad for him watching him, on I think it was Monday when he played. And I hope that they can get something going. Sam Darnold coming back here in a week or two. He's got mono, so he'll be out. He's been out for a couple weeks, but hopefully him coming back will make things a little bit better. But it was just a crapshoot, watching that the other night. So I don't know if y'all watched that Monday night game, but it was really bad. Of course, Sam Darnold's out. Then they put in Trevor Siemian, broke his ankle. It was bad. And Myles Garrett came at him about 150 miles an hour, and he stepped back and landed on it wrong. And I could tell right then and there that he broke his ankle, and sure enough, they said he won't return for the rest of the season. So you're just down to your third string quarterback. I just don't see them putting too much up, especially they were just essentially just putting Le'Veon Bell back there and running the Wildcat. They even said that he was asked, I think, who is the next up, and he said number 26. So that's Le'Veon. That shows you the depth they have. I don't think they signed anybody over the week. I didn't get any alerts. They probably should have, but so Vikings by 7. Jets and the Patriots. Gonna be taking the Patriots. I think they'll win. 24 plus. Yeah, so Jets, hopefully they can get it around. Again, it's just going to start with them getting Sam Darnold back. So I'm taking the Patriots for sure in that game. Lions and the Eagles. This is kind of a trap game for me, in my opinion. Philly by 5. I think Philly could win. They'll squeeze it out at the end, though, for sure. I think it's going to be, like a 23-20 game. But Lions, are definitely a team, especially, Matt Stafford. He's a gunslinger. He always has been. He lives and dies by the throw. He can throw a touchdown or an interception in any throw. So I think, especially with all the injuries that the Philadelphia Eagles are having right now, I'll take the Philadelphia Eagles, but I'm not going to take them to cover that 5. I think it'll be a closer game than that, like around 23-20. Is next to be injured. What QB is next to be injured? That's a good question. Who's giving up the most sacks, right? Let's see. Actually did a pretty good job doing that. I was pretty surprised on that, Jets. The poor Jets. I'm going to say, if anything, Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz could definitely be up. Or DeSean Jackson. Probably those two would probably be my two guesses. If anyone's going to get injured here in the next couple weeks, it'll be one of those two guys. I hope not. Obviously knock on wood, but to answer your question, I think it's going to be one of those guys. Carson Wentz, just the way he plays, he plays. He just he gives up his body so much. He does not care. He puts 100% into every throw. He's got to throw through everything. So. Yeah, and he, he's that kind of runner-esque. He's not a runner first for sure, but Kyler could be another one, just because his offensive line is just absolutely dreadful. But I think he's probably one of the best in the NFL at protecting himself. Giving himself up. He's he knows that his money is being healthy. So I think yeah. So I'll give him that one. DeSean Jackson, another guy. The offensive line is just kind of really bad. I know they gave up a lot and traded for Laramie Tunsil, a first-round pick. But if you watched in the last game or so, he didn't really make an impact. He actually lost a lot of battles on those one-on-ones. So Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with those guys. Hopefully not, though. Of course, I don't want any other quarterbacks to go out because there's already been way too many. I feel like there's been more this year than there has been in the past previous. So, um, but Lions at the Eagles, it's a trap game for me. I'm going Philly, but I could see it going either way. Then you look at another quarterback injury, Panthers at the Cardinals. This one, I'm taking Arizona. They're going to win their first game of the season, and they're going to go 1-1-1. Similar to another team last year, led by Baker Mayfield, went 1-1-1. And then went on to start going on their win streak. Now, to give Baker some credit, he didn't play in those first two games, the loss and the tie. Um, but I will say that in the tie against Pittsburgh, if he would have played, they would have won that game. And the loss was it almost went into overtime against the New Orleans Saints. If so he could have been 3-0. But anyways, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Kyler. I think he'll get his first win of the game, win of the season this year in Arizona. Arizona's favored by 2. I'll pick them to win. Around about 3 or 4. So. Go Cardinals on that one. Gotta love Larry Fitzgerald, one of my favorite players. Then we're gonna go to the Giants against the Buccaneers. Big news on that one. Obviously, Eli Manning is not going to start for that one, and they're going to throw in Daniel Jones. This is Daniel and Saquon's debut of starting, if you will, kind of the history of what to come for you Giants fans. Now, I think they're going to win the game. I actually do. I think that even though the Buccaneers are favored by 5, I think this one's going to be an upset, a shocker. And I think Daniel Jones has done nothing really to prove that he can't do it. Your beard is about as impressive as your Twitch viewers. Thank you, appreciate it. Boom, boom. That's about a week, maybe 2 weeks. So. I'm going with Daniel Jones on this one for sure. I think they're gonna surprise some people. I just don't have absolutely any faith in Jameis Winston. So, Texans at the Chargers. The Chargers. LA. The Chargers are favored by 3 in this one. I'm picking the Texans to win in a very close shootout. I'm actually gonna have this one win about 31-34. So I like DeSean Jackson just as long as they can keep that guy healthy. Chargers are missing a lot of people. And they haven't been as dominant as I thought that they were going to be. Obviously, they're missing Derwin James, one of their best players on that team in defense, and then Melvin Gordon holdout. Of course, everybody knows about that. So I've reaped the benefits on the Austin Eckler in fantasy football. So picking Texans for sure to win on that one. Saints going to the Seahawks. Unfortunately, Drew Brees obviously isn't playing, but the Seahawks are going to be favored by 5. I think he'll do a better job than people think. I think it'll be closer. I'm actually going to have the Seahawks win, but I'm only going to have them win by 4. So Teddy, he'll do just enough to keep him in there, but that's a really tough environment to go in and play. So I don't have him, for going and winning anything like that. So I'm going to have the Seahawks win by 4. Then go down to the Rams and the Browns. The Rams are going to be favored. By 4, I think that's very that's favorable. I'm definitely picking the Rams. Rams for sure. I think that they could have. I'm surprised that it's so close. I guess it's all the hype, but the Browns have struggled immensely, over the past 2 games. Even last game when they played the Jets, they really didn't impress, especially on offense. They struggled a lot, starting from the quarterback position. So he's got to do a better job. And this is one of a Super Bowl contending team last season. So the Steelers going to the coast, the West Coast, and taking on the 49ers. Unfortunately, Big Ben obviously isn't playing. They've got so many injuries on that team, and their defense has absolutely underperformed. Their defense looked like a top 3, top 5 defense at the end of last season, and then from how they drafted and what they look like in preseason, they looked incredible. So I'm picking the 49ers, but I don't have them winning by 7. I think they'll win, but they won't cover. So I have them winning by 4 in a 24-28 matchup. I really like Mason Rudolph. So I think he's a guy that a lot of people are going to sleep on. He can absolutely sling it, and especially if he's thrown to number 13 James White, Washington's, because obviously they have that history that they've had since Oklahoma State. So they're best buds since then, and I'm excited because even last week, whenever he replaced Big Ben in that second half, he did a lot better job at moving the offense than Ben did. So I like Mason Rudolph, but I just don't think he's going to get it done. I think the 49ers are going to win by 4 and not covered by the 7 spread. Then we're going to move down to the Monday night game. Bears are going to be taking on the Redskins. Bears are favored by 6. This is a game that I think the Bears are finally gonna start clicking. I think they're gonna win, led by that defense, of course. You know, their offense it might get some points on the board, but you know, I'm expecting a defensive score for sure. But I only think that they'll win about 3. I like Case Keenum. He's a guy that can sling the ball. He's been passed around the NFL because everybody can see. He went to, what was it? He was Houston, and he led all of college football. He holds the record for passing yards in a season. So he can absolutely sing it. I like Case Keenum, but just don't think he can do it by himself. Put that team on his shoulders, especially against a very good Bears defense. So we'll put this one up. I hope you're right, because I don't remember the last time we went 0-3. That's pretty bad. But I hope you're right. I just I don't know. We'll see. The 49ers, they struggled a lot, especially in that first game last week. They looked pretty good. I'm just giving it to this one because of the home field advantage that they're getting. So 4 points isn't a lot. That's one play of a touchdown. To flip that. So I hope you're right, but I'm on that one. If I'm putting money on anything, I'm going to take the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's a good quarterback. He just needs to get settled in there. He's only played that 2 games and then was out all last season. So, and then 5 the 4 before that because of the trade. So, all right. So appreciate you guys for stopping by. It's about 11:38, so we got about 20 minutes or so until the games come on. I'm excited, especially for that Ravens and the Chiefs game. I'm gonna shop around and see which ones I'm gonna be able to get, or do I need to use my VPN? So awesome. Love you guys so much. Y'all have a good one. Happy Sunday. Deuces.